I came to my sister's wedding. I invited you to make you jealous of me. He's mine, the jackpot. She told me. I said understood, and secretly told it her fiancé, and a week later. If Emily hadn't made such a big deal about inviting me, I probably wouldn't have gone to her wedding at all. We weren't close. We had never been close. In fact, if she had to choose between saving me from a burning building or saving her designer handbag, I'm pretty sure she'd choose the handbag. So when my mom showed up at my door one afternoon with an expensive-looking wedding invitation and a strangely forced smile, I knew something was up. "She really wants you to be there, Jessica," my mom said. It didn't make sense. Emily and I barely tolerated each other. We didn't fight openly, but there was always an unspoken competition between us, one that only she seemed to care about. As kids, she'd throw tantrums if I got a better Christmas present. As a teenager, she'd copy my outfits and then act like I was the one stealing her style. As an adult, she turned her own miserable marriage into a game, trying to convince me that being trapped with a lazy, unemployed alcoholic was somehow better than being single. Then her first marriage broke up. And suddenly she was back on top. At least that's what she wanted me to believe. She met Adam, a successful businessman, and within months she was flaunting him like a trophy. He was everything her ex-husband wasn't: wealthy, polished, respected. And Emily made sure I knew it. Every phone call, every conversation, every family dinner was just another opportunity for her to brag. "He takes care of me," she'd say, making sure to emphasize. "Takes care of. He really provides, you know? You wouldn't understand, of course. You're too busy with whatever it is you do." She made it sound like I was some kind of struggling loser. But in reality, I was doing fine. I had a steady job, a good apartment, friends I actually liked. Sure, I wasn't married, but I wasn't trapped in a toxic relationship and constantly trying to convince everyone that I was happy. So when she personally insisted that I come to the wedding, I knew there had to be a reason. And I was right. The ceremony was exactly what I expected: extravagant, expensive, and full of people Emily barely knew but was desperate to impress. The venue looked like something out of a bridal magazine, with chandeliers dripping from the ceiling and waiters carrying trays of champagne. Everything was perfect. Almost too perfect. Adam, though, something about him was off. He smiled when he was supposed to, said all the right things, but there was something distant in his eyes. Like he was going through the motions. I caught him looking at Emily a few times during the reception, and it wasn't love, it was something else. Something harder to define. As the night wore on, Emily finally found me. She was tipsy, flushed from champagne, her dress slightly wrinkled from dancing. But she still had the same smug expression I'd known all my life. She clinked her glass against mine and grinned. "You're probably wondering why I invited you." I raised an eyebrow. "Yeah, actually." She leaned in slightly, her voice low enough that no one else could hear. "To put you in your place." I stared at her, waiting for her to continue. She grinned, sipping her drink as if savoring the moment. "You always thought you were better than me. Always so independent, so put together." She scoffed. "But look at you now. Still single, still figuring things out, or whatever excuse you tell yourself. And me? I hit the jackpot." She gestured to Adam, who was across the room talking to some business associates. "He's mine now. All his money, all his success. I won." Then she laughed, swirling the champagne in her glass. "And don't even think about telling anyone what I just said. If you do, I'll tell Mom and Dad the real truth about you." I had no idea what she meant by that, but honestly, I didn't care. I just smiled. "I see." I wasn't going to do anything, not at first. I thought I'd let it go. Emily had always been like that, obsessed with proving something to me, even when I wasn't competing. But the more I thought about what she had said, the more it pissed me off. She hadn't invited me to share in her happiness. She invited me to humiliate myself. To stand in front of me, in her expensive dress, next to her rich husband, and rub it in my face like I was some pathetic, lonely loser. And she thought I'd just stand there and take it. So the next day I called Adam. I didn't make up some dramatic story. I didn't beg him to listen. I simply asked if we could meet for coffee. He agreed, sounding a little confused, but not hesitant. When we sat down at the cafe, I got right to the point. I don't really know you that well, I said, stirring my drink. And frankly, I don't care what you do with your life. But I thought you should know what Emily said to me at the wedding. His expression barely changed. Okay. I repeated her words almost verbatim. How she invited me just to rub her marriage in my face. How she bragged about hitting the jackpot. How she considered his money to be hers. When I finished, I expected some kind of reaction. Anger. Defensiveness. Something. Instead, Adam just sighed. I narrowed my eyes. You're not surprised? He shook his head. No. I mean, I didn't expect her to say it out loud, but it doesn't shock me. That threw me off. So what? You knew she was like that? I had suspicions. He leaned back in his chair, looking pensive. She's always been a bit obsessed with status. Always making sure people saw us as a couple. But I ignored it. I thought maybe it was just the excitement. I guess I didn't want to believe it. That made sense. Adam wasn't stupid. He was a businessman, and businessmen don't become successful by being oblivious. But I could tell that hearing it confirmed out loud was different. Then he gave me a strange look. Why are you telling me this? I shrugged. Because I don't need your money. I don't need anything from you. And I'm not like everyone else in your life who just pretends not to notice. He smiled slightly at that. I appreciate the honesty, he said. It's rare. I laughed. Yeah, well, you married the wrong family for that. Adam looked out the window, silent for a long moment. And in that silence I knew. This marriage was already falling apart. He just hadn't admitted it yet. I didn't expect anything to come out of my conversation with Adam. Honestly, I figured he'd just file it away in the back of his mind and go on pretending everything was fine. Rich men don't just up and leave their wives over a conversation with the sister-in-law they barely know. But something changed. A few days later, Emily called me. What the hell did you say to Adam? I smiled. Good to hear from you too, Em. Cut the crap. He's acting weird. Distant. I know you said something. I didn't want to lie. I told him the truth. There was silence. For a second, I thought she had hung up. But then she let out a sharp laugh. Do you really think you can come between us? You think he's going to leave me because of you? No, I said. I think he'll leave you because of you. She started to scream, but I hung up before I could hear the threat she was about to make. I didn't have time for her games. But what I didn't expect, what really caught me off guard, was what happened next. That night, Adam texted me. Can you meet me? I hesitated. This was getting messy, and I didn't want to get in the middle of whatever was going on between them. But curiosity won out. We met in a quiet bar outside of town, away from anyone who might recognize him. He looked different. Less polished. More exhausted. I have to ask you something, he said. And I need you to be honest. I nodded. Okay. He hesitated, then leaned forward slightly. Do you think Emily ever really loved me? That threw me. I could have softened it. I could have lied. But I wasn't going to. No, I said. I don't. He exhaled, as if he had been holding his breath for months. Then he did something I really didn't expect. I'm leaving her, he said. And I need your help. I stared at him. You need my help? She will lose her mind when I tell her. She won't just let me go quietly. And I have some things I need to take care of before I officially leave. I raised an eyebrow. Like what? Adam hesitated. Then he finally said, I can't tell you yet. But I promise you'll understand soon. I had no idea what he was talking about, but one thing was clear: Emily's perfect little life was about to explode. And somehow, I was right in the middle of it. I had no idea what Adam meant when he said he needed my help, and I wasn't sure I wanted to get involved. But when he texted me 2 days later, it's time. Meet me at the hotel. I knew something big was happening. I arrived at the hotel to find him looking different. Less polished, more tense, like he hadn't slept. He let me into the room, and before I could even sit down, he hit me with this. "She betrayed me," he said. I froze. "Excuse me?" "Emily. She slept with someone else. One of my business partners." This was the last thing I expected to hear. Not because I thought Emily was loyal, but because she had fought so hard to get a rich husband. Why would she risk it so soon? "How do you know that?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he pulled out his cell phone, tapped on something, and then held it out for me to hear. At first I wasn't sure what I was hearing. Then I recognized Emily's voice. "He thinks I'm a devoted little wife," she said. She sounded tipsy, like she was bragging. "But let's face it, I'm running this relationship. And if I ever get bored, well, I have options." There was a pause, a low male voice muttering something I couldn't quite make out, then Emily's voice again, clear, sharp, and full of arrogance. "Oh, don't worry. He's rich. When I leave, I'll make sure I take everything." My stomach twisted. Even for Emily, this was low. I looked at Adam, who was watching me closely. "Where did you get this?" I asked. "My lawyer." His tone was flat. She had no idea I suspected anything. But I did. So I had someone keep an eye on her. I didn't even know what to say. Emily had always been obsessed with status, with proving she was better, but this was calculated. She really thought she could get away with it. Adam said, his voice cold. "She thought I'd just be another idiot husband, blind to everything." I sat back and exhaled. "So what's the plan?" Adam grinned, but there was no humor in it. "She thinks she's going to bleed me dry." He shoved his phone back in his pocket. "But she doesn't know who she's up against." I had no idea what he meant. But something told me Emily was about to get the shock of her life. I should have walked away. This was between Emily and Adam, and I had already done my part. But something in the way Adam said, "She doesn't know who she's dealing with," made me curious. "What do you mean by that?" I asked. Adam leaned back, looking at me like he was debating how much to say. Then, after a moment, he pulled out his phone again, scrolled for a second, and turned the screen toward me. It was a prenuptial agreement. I skimmed through the document quickly, my eyes widening. "Wait, she gets nothing?" Adam nodded. "She didn't read it before signing." I stared at him. "You're kidding." She was too busy showing off the ring. Too busy telling everyone she'd landed me. When my lawyers put the papers in front of her, she just signed them without a second thought. I almost laughed. Emily, who had spent her whole life scheming for wealth, had blindly signed away everything because she was too obsessed with proving she had won. She really thought she was untouchable. Adam continued. Thought she'd play her little games, then divorce me and take half of everything. But she didn't realize. I don't lose. The way he said it sent a chill down my spine. "What are you going to do?" I asked. Adam smirked. "Oh, I'm going to let her destroy herself." I didn't have to wait long to see what he meant. 2 days later, Emily called me in a complete panic. "He's leaving me," she practically screamed. "And he's acting like I get nothing. Jessica, do you know what's going on?" I debated pretending to be surprised, but I couldn't resist. "I don't know, Em," I said. "Maybe you should have read what you signed." There was silence. Then, a strangled, disbelieving laugh. "You're lying." "No, you were lying. And now Adam knows." She started swearing, breathing heavily like she was about to hyperventilate. "I'll take him to court. You'll what?" "He has recordings. He has proof. You cheated, you tried to play him, and now you're going to lose. This is what happens when you try to manipulate people, Emily." I expected more yelling, more rage, but all I heard was her shaky breathing. Then, in the softest, most broken voice I had ever heard from her, she whispered, "I have to fix this." And that's when I knew. She wasn't going to accept losing. She was going to do something insane. I should have known Emily wouldn't go down quietly. She had spent her whole life clawing her way toward the illusion of success, and now it was slipping through her fingers. And if there was one thing I knew about my sister, it was that she never accepted defeat. The first sign that she was spiraling came later that night when my mom called me, frantic. "Jessica, have you spoken to Emily?" I hesitated. Why?" She's acting strange. She showed up at the house in tears, saying Adam is ruining her life, that he's trying to take everything from her. I almost laughed at the irony. That's rich, considering she was the one planning to take everything from him. "This isn't funny, Jessica," my mom snapped. She was hysterical. She kept saying she had to fix things before it was too late. A cold feeling crept over me. "What does that mean?" "I don't know." She wouldn't say. She just kept pacing, muttering to herself. I asked if she wanted to stay the night, but she stormed out. "I'm worried about her." For a moment, I almost felt bad for Emily. Almost. But then I remembered every smug comment, every time she tried to humiliate me, every moment she had spent treating Adam like a trophy instead of a person. Still, something about this felt off. I texted Adam, "Emily's unraveling. Watch your back." His response came a few minutes later, already on it. "She tried showing up at my office today. Security turned her away." That should have been the end of it. But of course, with Emily, nothing was ever that simple. The next morning, I woke up to a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Meet me at the park. It's urgent." I stared at the message, confused. Then I saw the profile picture. It was Emily. I sighed. I really didn't want to deal with whatever dramatics she had planned, but something told me I should go. When I got to the park, I spotted her immediately. She was sitting on a bench, sunglasses covering her face, body tense. I sat down next to her, waiting. Finally, she turned to me, lowering her glasses. Her eyes were red, but there was no sadness in them, just fury. "You did this," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "Did what?" "You turned Adam against me." I let out a short laugh. "Emily, you turned Adam against yourself. I just let him know what kind of person he married." She clenched her fists, her whole body trembling. "You think you've won?" she whispered. "You think he's just going to walk away and leave me with nothing?" "That's exactly what's happening." She stared at me, breathing hard. And then, in a deadly calm voice, she said, "I won't let him go." Something about the way she said it sent a chill down my spine. "What does that mean?" I asked. Emily smiled. A slow, knowing, dangerous smile. "You'll find out soon enough." And then she walked away. I watched her go, my heart pounding. I had a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I didn't have to wait long to find out what Emily meant. That night, Adam called me. "Meet me at the hotel," he said. "She's coming." I didn't even ask how he knew Adam was always 5 steps ahead. When I arrived, Emily was already there. She was standing in the middle of the hotel suite, her arms crossed, her expression full of false confidence. But I could see the cracks, her fingers twitching slightly, the way her breath came a little too quickly. She was nervous. Adam, on the other hand, looked completely untroubled. He was leaning against the bar, sipping a drink like he had all the time in the world. I sat down in the corner and decided to stay out of it. Emily exhaled sharply. "Okay. Let's be adults about this." Adam raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure you know how to do this?" Her jaw tightened. "You can't just throw me away. We built something together." He laughed. "We built something?" "No, Emily. I built something. You just showed up and put your name on it." Emily's confidence wavered. "I was your wife." "Yes," Adam said, putting down his glass. "And you cheated on me, too. Planned to take half of everything." Bragging about it, actually. But here's the thing, Dash. He leaned in slightly. You get nothing. Her lips parted slightly, as if she were about to argue, but he cut her off. I had my lawyer send you the papers. You have no case, no leverage, no money. The prenup is bulletproof, and you violated it anyway. So your little plan? It's over. Emily's face went pale. You wouldn't do that to me. I already have. There was silence for a long moment. Then she whispered in a desperate voice. I have nothing without you. Adam smiled. Yeah. I know. I expected Emily to scream, throw something, make a scene. But she didn't. She just stood there, frozen. And then, without another word, she turned and walked out the door. I waited until I heard the elevator ding before I looked at Adam. Damn. She needed to hear that, he said simply. I wasn't sure if Emily was in shock or if she had finally accepted reality, but I had a feeling this wasn't the last we'd hear from her. And I was right. The next day, my mother called me again. You won't believe what happened, she said, sounding exhausted. Emily came to the house begging us for money. I sat up. And? We said no. I almost dropped my phone. My parents had never said no to Emily. She cried, Jessica. She said that Adam had taken everything from her, that she had nowhere to go, that we owed her support. My mother sighed. But your father had had enough. He told her she made her bed and now she has to lie in it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What did she do? I asked. She lost it. She started screaming about how we never loved her, how we always treated her unfairly. Then she stormed out. I don't know where she went. I sat back and exhaled. Emily had spent her whole life acting like she was untouchable. And now? She was alone, broke, and had burned every bridge she had left. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. A week passed. Then 2. No one heard from Emily. I thought maybe she had finally conceded defeat, but then my mom called me again, this time with a very interesting update. Jessica, you're not going to believe this, she said, almost in a whisper. Emily got kicked out. I almost choked on my coffee. What? From where? From Adam's penthouse, my mother said. She refused to leave, so he had her legally evicted. I couldn't help myself, I laughed. She really thought she could just stay there? She told the guards she was his wife and they couldn't do that to her. Apparently they didn't care. The mental image of Emily being physically escorted out of a luxury penthouse, probably screaming the whole way, was almost too much. But that wasn't the best part. She's staying in a motel now, my mother added. I had to mute my phone for a second because I was laughing so hard. Emily, who had spent years bragging about her perfect life, her rich husband, her status, was now living in a motel. And it wasn't over yet. A few days later, I received another text from Adam. You might want to check the messages. My stomach turned. I immediately searched his name, and sure enough, an article popped up. Local businessman sues estranged wife for defamation and fraud. I clicked on the article so fast I almost dropped my phone. Adam was suing Emily. Publicly. Apparently, after losing everything, she had tried to smear his name, spreading rumors about him, saying he was abusive, saying he was hiding assets. And Adam, being Adam, had proof. Text messages. Emails. Even video footage of Emily making threats. He wasn't just divorcing her. He was destroying her. And according to the article, she had no way out. Emily had played this game her whole life, always thinking she was the smartest person in the room. But this time, she had lost. Completely.